You're sitting at a dinner table with 6 people. Someone finishes a story. There's a 2-second opening, and you feel the words forming. But before you speak, someone else jumps in. The moment is gone, and now you're just nodding along. That's not shyness. That's your attention going to the wrong place at the worst possible time. Shyness gets treated like a personality trait, something you either have or don't. But that framing doesn't explain what's actually happening in the moment. And it definitely doesn't give you anything to work with the next time it happens. So let's look at the actual mechanism, because when you see it clearly, the whole thing starts to make a different kind of sense. Here's the core idea. Attention is a limited resource. You can't fully listen to 2 things at the same time. Most of the time, that's fine. But in social situations with some pressure attached, a group, a new face, a topic that matters, something shifts, your attention splits. Part of it stays on the conversation. The other part turns inward and starts monitoring you. How does your voice sound right now? Is your expression doing the right thing? Are you making too much eye contact or not enough? That internal monitoring is running in the background like a process you didn't open. And while it runs, your ability to actually track what's being said drops. Researchers in social psychology call this self-focused attention, the tendency to direct cognitive resources toward observing yourself instead of engaging with what's in front of you. Clark and Wells described it in 1995 as a central mechanism in social anxiety, not a character flaw, but a pattern of attention allocation, which means you weren't missing something to say. You were too busy watching yourself to hear what was actually being said. Here's where it gets interesting. The harder you try to seem natural, the worse the problem gets. You tell yourself, just relax, just be normal. But telling yourself to seem natural requires monitoring whether you look natural, which is more self-focus, which makes you feel less natural. It's a loop, and it often tightens exactly when the social stakes feel highest. Think about a classroom. Someone asks a question. The teacher opens it up to the group. You know the answer, or at least part of it. But instead of forming the answer, your brain runs a different process. Will this sound smart enough? Will people think I got it wrong? What if my voice shakes? By the time that internal audit finishes, someone else has already answered. And you're left wondering why you didn't just say it. The thought was there. The issue wasn't the thought. The issue was where your attention was while the moment was open. Now compare that to a one-on-one conversation with someone you're completely comfortable with. You don't monitor your voice, you're not watching your own face. You're just there, listening, responding, thinking out loud. The conversation flows because your attention is on them, not on yourself. That's not a personality difference. That's an attention difference. And attention is something you can redirect. So what does that actually look like? Researchers studying this pattern have explored attention-based interventions, approaches that train people to orient their focus outward during social interactions. A 2016 review by Norton and Abbott found that techniques focused on reducing self-directed attention, including something called task concentration training, showed documented clinical benefits. And a 2025 paper from Behavior Research and Therapy suggested that promoting more externally oriented attention during social interactions may be adaptive for people with higher levels of social anxiety. The key word there is may. This isn't a guaranteed fix, but the direction is consistent. Attention outward tends to work better than attention inward. So here's a practical version of that idea, something you can actually try the next time you're in a group. Before you worry about what to say, pick one person in the room and spend the first few minutes fully focused on what they're actually saying. Not on what you'll say next, not on how you're being perceived, just on them, their words, their tone, what they're actually communicating. This is sometimes called an outward attention shift. It's simple, but it's not trivial, because you're interrupting a pattern that your brain runs automatically under pressure. What many people notice is that when they stop monitoring themselves, responses start arriving more naturally, not because they found better words, but because they were actually listening. And when you're listening, the conversation gives you something to respond to. You don't have to generate material from nothing. The material is right there. A common mistake people make is preparing what to say before the other person has finished speaking. You're rehearsing before you've heard the full thought, so by the time they finish, you've half missed what they said, and your response feels slightly off, which then makes you second-guess yourself. Which pulls attention back inward. One simple rule that can help. Hear the full sentence first, then respond to one part. Just one part. You don't need to cover everything. Say something like, "Has this ever come up for you before?" or "Which part was the hardest?" These aren't scripts, they're examples of responses that come from actually listening. Now, a quick but important note. This approach works in many situations, but context always matters. Social signals are clues, not proof. Redirecting your attention outward doesn't guarantee the other person will engage or that the conversation will flow smoothly. And this isn't about suppressing anxiety or pretending you're comfortable. It's about giving your attention somewhere useful to go while the anxiety is still present. Also worth saying clearly, this is not the same as introversion. Introversion is a preference. Some people genuinely recharge alone. That's not a problem to fix. Self-focused attention is different. It's what happens when you want to engage, but your attention collapses inward and makes it harder. Two different things. Back to the dinner table. Someone finishes a story. The 2-second window opens. This time, your attention has been on them, not on yourself. You caught something they said a minute ago that stayed with you. You say it, not perfectly, not with the ideal word, but you say it and it lands. And the conversation moves forward with you in it. That's the shift. Not a new personality, not a confidence hack, just attention, pointed at the right thing at the right moment. You're not missing something that other people have. You're not permanently wired for silence. You're not shy by nature. Your attention has just been going to the wrong place. And that, unlike personality, can change. The next time you're in a group, try this. Pick one person, listen to the full sentence, and respond to one part of what they actually said. That's it. See what happens. If this gave you a clearer picture of what's been going on, subscribe. There's more on conversation, attention, and social pressure coming.